Hello, everyone. My name is Morten Toft, and I'm today's host, where I will explore something about leadership and some of the challenges that CEOs also have uh, around the world, like a global dilemma. And to actually focus on that, I have invited a special guest, and uh, and one of the reasons for that is that my book, to be perfectly honest, is about authentic leadership. And the person I would like to introduce now, I see as a very, very honest person. So it's really an honor to give the first question and also ask um, ask you, Nick Jonsson, to actually do a little introduction about yourself. Who is Nick Jonsson? That's a big question.
Well, thank you so much, Morten, for the warm welcome. And wow, that's a big welcome as well to introduce me as someone who is honest. I will try my best to answer that today. And I can say that it didn't come lightly. So there will be a surprise answer to the question. But first of all, then, who am I? Well, I was born in Sweden, educated in Australia, and then I spent the last 20 years to live and work in Southeast Asia. I have had roles in Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand, Singapore, and working in that region. So I started my career in the corporate world, working my way up from account executive, general manager, managing director, managing the big offices for the international companies then in Asia. The two industries mainly partly have been fashion industry, the other medical industry. These days, though, my life has changed a bit. I'm coming a little bit closer to what you are doing, Morten, working more on leadership and hopefully inspiring leaders and so on, like you do so fantastically well. I'm running confidential peer groups. I'm also in the coaching world, and I wrote a book on executive loneliness and mainly focusing on how can business leaders come out of the loneliness trap. So that's a little bit about me, and let me know when you want me to answer how I become so honest as well.
Yeah, because I think that's part of your life purpose. But let's see, because could you say a little bit to the audience here about your values and again your purpose?
Yeah, absolutely. And this has not come lightly to me, as I said. I mean, being honest and living your values is difficult, and it's painful because, what is a lie? Is it if I went 5 minutes over my parking, or did I do a shortcut, and do we tell small white lies? And it's hard to be brutally honest. However, in my case, I had some very difficult times. In a couple of years ago, I went through divorce. That led me to resign from my work. I gained a lot of weight and I started to fall into some bad habits. So it was by going through that really difficult side, and I kept it all internally. I kept it internally to the point where I was having so much pain, and eventually I broke out of that. And the only way to break out of it was to sharing authentically with the people around me what was going on in my life. So that's how I became more honest. And these days now, my value and purpose in life is helping others in the way that sharing what I went through, that it's better to be honest and open with the challenges we go through and seek help for them. So that's what I'm trying to do today. I'm trying to live my values and helping others who are struggling.
So when you are together with CEOs and leaders in your area, uh, how do you see the dilemmas about the things we are talking about here? Yeah,
Well, I see that many leaders are struggling. Perhaps they're living a double life. That was the case in my life, that, we have so much pressure on our shoulders. We need to look so good. We need to be on all the covers. We need to be in interviews, speaker panels. We need to have the best LinkedIn profile. We have to look so good. But then behind the scene, everyone is only human. And we have so much pressure that we need to also deliver on. And it's really hard to live that balanced life, to do it all. And then especially if we then shut down and we believe that we have all the answers and we are not really inviting our team, or we don't have coaches, mentors, and the right support system around us, then the pressures just compound and it becomes too much. Especially these days, there's so much changes. Digitalization is happening so fast that I think any leader who is working in a silo these days, who's not able to open up authentically, will have a lot of pressure, and that is compounding to the point of breaking point. And that's the space where many are in today, Morten. I see this in a lot of leaders.
Yeah. And maybe the dilemma is special for the CEOs because they are high in the what they call the structure of the business, and maybe they are alone or don't have anybody to talk about. So can you say a little bit about this peer groups or being together with people that really are having the same challenge?
Absolutely, and it's so important to have some professional connections that we can be vulnerable with. And it's not easy to go perhaps into your colleagues or your boss to be vulnerable because maybe you're worried that they're going to take advantage of me and so on. Therefore, we need to build this up in a proactive manner outside the organization. I already mentioned a few times today having your coach, for example, where you can have one-on-one conversation, having some mentor, perhaps someone more senior than you in the organization, having also perhaps a mentor outside the organization, someone who can be it for you, but also having a mastermind group or a peer group, which is really other CEOs then at your level who might be going through similar challenges, have gone through similar challenges in the past, who can then help you, and vice versa, so that we feel then that we are not alone in this. It is difficult, it is challenging, so let's go through it together. And that is what I'm working on now, then mainly in Singapore, Indonesia, and in Malaysia, where we have more than 800 CEOs now who's part of our groups there. And what we see is that it is a lot easier when you go through this and support each other.
I wonder, with your knowledge to the companies that are around the world, maybe what company and what kind of CEO will you mention as a kind of a role model company or role model CEO? Or do we have any special person, company?
I find it very difficult to pinpoint one specific person that as a role model. I take different traits from people and so on, but I think the role model CEO of today need to be someone who is open-minded, who is listening to the team, bringing the team closely to them, who's not scared of sharing their failures and what they learn from them, and instead of calling them failures, call it something else, call it an experiment and what they learn from it. That's how at least we do it in our company, and we pick up bits and pieces here. We have this policy in my company now that we are not scared to fail. Some of the budget is experimental budget where we learn from each other and so on. And if I had to pick one person who I do believe is a role model, his name would be Rich Roll. That's Rich Roll is an American athlete, author, a CEO, and he's also a motivational speaker. Just like myself, he had a difficult history. He went through some really challenging times, and it was only when he hit his rock bottom and patched together his life, being more honest with himself and the people around him, that he really had the successes that we see him today. If you're interested in looking up Rich Roll, he has a podcast which is fantastic.
Yeah. And today, Nick, I also see and feel that people understand that it's not only what we are talking about, it's also the feelings that we send out, a kind of vibration. I think that people actually feel also. So we can say something, but our feelings and the vibration around ourselves can be different. So it's very important that we really walk the talk. What we say is also what we do, and people can feel if we are not honest. What do you say to that?
Yes, absolutely. You're so true. And people can smell this. And these days, also now, when we live in this hybrid world with people working remotely, it's more and more online and so on. The real connections are becoming less. That it's very important that we send out the right signals, and people will definitely smell you otherwise.
Yeah. So Nick, do you have, based on your experience, a kind of recipe for success? I know that you are also a very, very successful sports person, correct? And you are welcome to bring in some knowledge from there as well. But what is your recipe? What will you say?
Well, it's something that I didn't have before, and it's self-awareness. It came to me also after I went through some difficult parts in my life. I really learned to be more self-aware, to be aware, and also to then to seek help for the things that I'm not well at. So that is at the heart of everything. And then we talk a lot about purpose and passion. I mean, before we find what we want to do, before our natural true calling, perhaps we are a little bit lost. And it seems like many of us, especially men, find that later in life. For me, I was 43 years of age when I found it. And that is, as I said before, giving back and being of service to others and helping others. That was my true calling. Then what else is my recipe? Well, it is about resilience, learning from setbacks. Don't be too hard on yourself. We all have setbacks, and call it setbacks rather than failures, and then we can all be better. And finally, the last one on my recipe for success, Morten, would be what you touched on. The athletic lifestyle. I believe that we work so much, we sit so still that we need to constantly be on the go. So for me, that means getting out and do something physically every day, swimming, cycling, running, just get moving every day, get out in the nature and do something. And I do half of this by myself. That's like my meditation time. The other half, I join running clubs, cycling clubs, swim academies to be out and get some social interactions, to meet people. We need to do that, especially again, when we're spending so much time online. We need to remember to be there for other people and meet them in person. So that was a couple of my things.
Mhm. I also know that many companies have a service for the employees, or some bonus where they can. It's not money, but it's like go to the exactly some activities where you get healthy or do something good for the social life and also for yourself. So, what do you think about that when you look at the groups that you are together with?
Yeah, it's very important to mix in the social elements and so on. The peer groups that I run, we also have running groups, we have cycling groups, we go out hiking together, we do many things together, we have a lot of fun together. There's some interest groups for everyone, because you need to sort of bond outside the office. It's the same for employees. You need to have social gatherings outside the office to bond. Same with the peer group and the masterminds. You cannot always be talking about challenges and strategies. You need to also connect, because at the end we are social animals and we're human beings, and the trust is built outside in boardrooms.
Yeah, I think we have been around this question about if you were like a CEO for a medium size or a large company, uh, what will you focus on if you were in charge, if you were in charge of that company?
Yeah, I touched a little bit on that, and just to be clear, what I mean with that is perhaps that I would try to make my A team being physically, mentally, and emotionally fit. Because if we get that foundation right, we can request of them to bring the A game to the work. They will do it naturally. They will do it because they are physically feeling well and mentally well and are emotionally well. And if they don't have that, then how can we put pressure on them, or how can we demand things and have a good result if they're not ready and up for it? And then the second thing is that they need to feel engaged. They need to feel empowered and involved. So that it's not driven from top down, but rather really have an active team. And these days, again, with the hybrid world, many teams running virtually, gamification is so important, especially for the young generation, where you have perhaps daily targets, weekly, you have games, awards, and things they can get just to make sure that they feel that they're connected with it and that they're working together on something.
Yeah. I was just inspired what you were saying, because I have worked for a company here in Denmark called Grundfos, one of the biggest, maybe the biggest in that industry. And every 4th year, they make something called Grundfos Olympic Games, where all the what to call it, the people from around the world, they have the possibility of coming to Denmark and join the Olympic. And I have just been there to watch it. So 1,500 people from 57 countries came to Denmark to do activities, fun and serious at the same time. And that's really, really something that gives Grundfos a strong, solid foundation of commitment and people that really enjoy to be in the company. So it was just inspiration also. Nick, let me know, please. What is your future plans? What what would you like to see happen? That could be in your own life, but it could also be for the world or for your business or something like that.
Well, I think the most important for my life is to have a learning mindset. And what I will do, for example, in September, I will start a master coach training. And this time in Malaysia, I have done it before with another group 3 years ago in Singapore. But I want to continue to learn and challenge myself. That is at the heart of everything I do, is to have this learning mindset. And then separately, it's to continue my being aware of my physical and mental health, and really watch out for working too much, and make sure that I schedule training sessions. And that for me means doing it first in the morning. It's there, it's blocked slot, and I don't negotiate with that. I need to get out, even if it's just to go out for a walk or trek, just to get something done, to get some fresh air, and being connected mentally and physically. So those are some of the things for me in the future, Morten.
Wow. I think I would like you to be my mentor, Nick. I think that's some very good points. And if somebody here watching this talk with you, Nick, and would like to get in contact with you, and also maybe being able to get your book, how do people get in contact with you?
Well, just like you, Morten, I'm quite active on LinkedIn. They can find me on LinkedIn, and it's Nick Jonsson, NickJonsson.
Great. And in this recording, and together with what to call it, the post on LinkedIn, I will write a little bit about you and also the possibilities of going to contact you. So here from me, Nick, I would like to say thank you so much for sharing this and being honest. I really feel that this can help a lot of CEOs and leaders. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Morten.
Take care.